So everybody and their grandma has a podcast on the Iran war. What's going to happen? Who started it? What's going on? Everyone's a military commander, logistics expert, cultural historian on the subject. If they were giving out degrees in this stuff, you could make a lot of money. But I lived through the Ukraine war. I was there when it started. I stayed 2 years during the war, and I completely changed my perspective on what the news is and what information about war is on the general. So please, let me help you save your time and stop being lied to. Guys, whatever you're watching on BBC or CNN, or maybe you're watching some Instagram influencers or TikTok guys, you have to understand, either they are agents, which also exist on TikTok and Instagram, there's plenty of them, but even if they're not agents, even if they're sincere, honest people, where are they getting their information from? Do they have their own people on the front lines? No, they're taking the information from these same people who are the liars, who are the government agents. When the army has information, how do you think that information gets put out? And who decides to put out the information? And what information do they decide to put out and change or not change? It's all coming from these governments and secret societies and so on. Because here's the thing I learned about war. War is an information war. This is something I heard many times before I saw with my own eyes, but I didn't understand it. So let me quote Sun Tzu from The Art of War. He says, when you are far, your enemy must think that you are near. And when you are near, your enemy must think that you are far. When you're strong, your enemy should think you're weak. And when you're weak, your enemy should think you're strong. So you have to understand, no matter what the situation is, the interest of both sides is to lie. There's an advantage to disinform. So you have to understand, forget about BBC, CNN. Of course, these guys are propaganda, but a bunch of YouTube influencers and TikTok influencers and Instagram influencers are also paid agents. And beyond that, those who are not paid agents, who are trying their best, they are living inside the world of the paid agents. Where do they get their information from? It's a very, very complicated information campaign. And one of the worst things that can happen is that you get caught up in it and you forget about your prayer. This is what happened to us Muslims during the Ukraine war. Everybody was sitting in their phones all day, every day, scrolling on Twitter and watching YouTube and Telegram. Everybody thinks like, oh, I'm learning what's happening. And you think, oh, I'm going to be better positioned. Should I leave the city? Should I stay in the city? The information I was getting in the news, a lot of it was completely fake. It was just pure propaganda. So me reading that, it's actually worsening my situation to make a logical decision because I'm literally starting to believe lies. Unless you can see a video that London is on fire and you can call your friend in London and he says, yeah, London is burning. Okay, that's different. But when they're telling you this, that, or the other thing, or who started the fire, believe me, they have their own interests. And almost always those interests are to deceive you and to lie.